TSM at the start of this group stage. They had a really rough couple of games to start off the tournament here. At the end of day 2, they had a 51% chance of finishing dead last in their group and being eliminated before even getting to the bracket. But after that point, they won every single map, secured themselves a 2nd seed, and here they are now against TSM in the first round.
Oh, well, look at where we are. NIP versus TSM, and I cannot wait to see what maps we're going to be playing on in this series. But before we begin them up, I want to see what are expectations in this case. There you go. First bans are through.
Wait. Thank God. Okay.
Let's go.
Finally,
no more Clubhouse.
Has banned Clubhouse against NIP. Every single opponent has failed to do that in the group stage so far. Jacob, we've done it.
We got it.
High fives.
We're there.
Milosh, high fives.
Let's go.
NA has a chance. There's a chance right now.
Clubhouse is gone. We've literally been waiting this the entire group stage, and it never came through. TSM sharpening it up, though. 8 wins in a row for NIP on that map. It is ridiculous for them. Oh, but then they chose Coastline. So they're probably losing that one as well.
Crap.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. It's a tough map when you go against the world champs.
We had our moment in the sun.
Coastline's more doable, though, I think, for sure, for TSM. It is a strong one for NIP as well, but hey, they can still battle it. And Kafe is a really strong pick for TSM. 6-map win streak on that one. They never tend to ban it. They haven't lost it since SI 2020, where FaZe beat them 8-7 in the upper bracket.
You're not wrong, but they also haven't played it at this year's SI at all. True. 0 plays, 0 attempts, nothing. So the fact that we are seeing it at this point in the ban phase is nice because hopefully they've saved something for it. The flip side is just other teams can prepare something for it in that stead. No bank for TSM, I think, is a good thing. They have not been as proficient on it as they have in North American competition. They're only 1 and 2 for this tournament. But we go to Villa as a decider, which does, this one is genuinely a 50-50. So the fact that we've got one heavy in favor for TSM, at least for now, unless NIP have something really heavily stratted for it, 1 for NIP themselves because Coastline just doesn't see that much play in North American competition, and then Villa, dead even. So this series genuinely could go either way.
Oh man, despite the map bans and the way you guys are reacting to them, there's still a chance. Now, how far-fetched is it and what needs to happen, the win condition, as some would call it? What does OXG need to do going up against the world champions, Jesse?
Well, OXG aren't going to be here, but I think TSM...
I think OXG! Come on, having 4 teams that like confuses the ever-living hell out of me, and this is what... I'm too old for this anymore. Hey, TSM, what do they need to do?
Well, I love the fact that they're going back to their roots, going to Kafe, because they've been playing a lot of bank so far this tournament, and when you look at those last couple of games that they lost in the group stage, it was to Dark Zero and to Elevate. They played bank in both of them. Against DZ, I legit think it was kind of just Troy yelling at them across the stage.
Probably.
Canadian talking about their income seemed to get in their head because it really did feel like TSM ran out of gas, but against Elevate had some amazing strategies and plays that I think TSM just weren't expecting. Maybe later on in the bracket we'll expect something like that, but against Kafe, a map they haven't shown so far, I think they've got an advantage.
On the flip side of that, for NIP, they kind of need to set the pace early and ensure that doesn't, TSM can't get back into the game to start with. NIP need those opening advantages in the same way that TSM also need those opening advantages. Guys like Muzi have been in the fray finding those opening picks, and they've been doing a great job of helping NIP really take that entire tone for the rest of a series. Problem is, Psycho has been in 30 opening engagements so far. He's 11 and 19. That ratio at a -8 is one of the worst in the entire tournament for somebody who's been in that many opening gunfights. So TSM can absolutely take advantage of that. Whoever finds the opening pick in this game, in spite of whatever their conversion rate might be, should be in a position to walk away with the round if the rest of the team doesn't get too trigger happy and over aggressive with their peaks.
Last time I saw ratios that bad, it was on Twitter. Though, thank you very much, friends. Jacob, Jesse, our games are ready to go. So we've got OXG FaZe, NIP, TSM. Let's get stage 2 on the go. It's SI 2022.
Thank you very much, Milosh. Welcome over to the start of the B stream, and happy Valentine's Day to all of those of you at home. Tim has put on his best shirt to make sure he's matching up for the colours. And Tim, here we got a little something for the viewers.
Well, we've been shown a lot of love over the last week, Des, and we appreciate it all. So we thought we want to make sure everybody at home gets a Valentine's card. So we've sorted one out just from us, and we'll open this up for you. We've got a little Valentine's poem in there, Des. Just have a read of that.
Roses are red, attackers are blue, siege is brilliant, but our true love is you. Thank you very much for tuning into the 6th Invitational. Let's get underway with our first game. And Tim, this is going to be an exciting map. Kafe, to kick things off of all things. TSM have hidden this away all of the group stage, and now finally, it's going to get brought into the spotlight.
There's going to be no love lost on this map. That much is for sure between these two. They're going to come in here. They're looking to continue that upper bracket run at this point, Des. Obviously, they've got extra opportunities. Should they lose a game here, they drop out into the lower bracket. They don't go home yet. That's not the stakes. That's not what we're talking about at this point. But the longer you can keep winning, the longer you keep that life in the bank, Des, the longer you can have that loss later on against, I'm not going to say tougher opposition, because let's be honest, for my money, it don't come much tougher than the two teams that we've got in the server today. TSM, NIP, gotta be two of the favourites left in this competition.
I mean, look at it this way. You've got the current defending world champions, TSM, who kind of came through as the flag bearers for NA. I know many would say, well, they came through quals, Des. They can't be the flag bearers. They can, because they looked unbelievable during the group stage. Worth touching on some stats that the guys were talking about on the desk as well. Merc and Pino currently miles ahead of the rest of their teammates. So much so, the number I've got down here is Merc and Pino are both on an identical 1.18 rating, tied in 6th place. The rest of the players aren't even in the top 23, and I say 23 specifically because Bolo is 24th. Just wanted to get really specific on that one number. On entry-wise, Merc is plus 14, 23-9, as opposed to what we heard them talking about with Psycho. So arguably you're seeing stronger performances out of Merc compared to the entries on the other side, but Pino is still balancing out the books. So my money, this is going to be a real slobber knocker, as Demo would say.
Yeah, I think it's going to be... I'm fully expecting, I am fully prepared for 3 maps here. I think Coastline is going to be a sticking point potentially for TSM. I feel like they need something here on Kafe. We talk about LATAM teams, we talk about Coastline. If you don't have a Coastline game, you can't compete in the BR6. It's pretty much as simple as that. So NIP, we know, are going to be very strong there. Bans are rounded out. Thatcher, Flores, Mira and Valkyrie. No major surprises. Pretty standard for what we've seen for Kafe so far.
Yeah, I mean, the Flores, I spoke about it all week long, Tim. It's becoming one of my hot favourite operators to see picked up, and also one of the favourite ones to see banned away, because teams will just chew through things like Goyo. And I was just about to say, Bolo used to be their old Goyo main before they changed around a couple of roles. But on this map, they're saying to Merc, you know what? You're fragging pretty well, buddy. Get back on the entry. Bolo can go back to playing flex, which was the changes they had prior to coming into this competition. So sort of a reversion back to the days of old for TSM here. Whether or not it comes out big for them is anyone's guess, but I'm very excited to see.
Why are people trying to make me cry on Valentine's Day, Des?
So, for those
trying to do it to me. Why are they doing this to me?
Basically, Tim's whole thing here is Bar Cocktail is one of the worst defender-rated sites in EUL. I haven't looked at the stats for SI.
I haven't looked at the stats for SI, but if
let's do it now, shall we?
Have a little look now, Des, but just go in. I will literally base this on what we have seen. And I can tell you now, every time we've seen this top floor, we've seen probably a 75% attacker win rate on this top floor.
It's joint second worst, second best. Service cooking has got 45%, mining dining is 62%, and then bar cocktail and reading dining are 51%.
It's a 50-50 site at best. There's stronger sites here on Kafe, generally speaking. At least, like I say, out of the games that we have seen, I've rolled that out every single time, same complaint, and it's been proved correct every single time. I think we've had, like, 1 win out of 3 choices generally has been probably a reasonable average. We will see if TSM can do it any better. The one thing that I will say is I don't think, from memory, we've seen a North American side try to hold this site down. We know that, regionally things are done differently. Maybe TSM brings something to the table and they show us how this is done, Des. That's what I want out of them in round number 1. We are into the action, 30 seconds in. NIP getting themselves up to the rooftop, all up there safely. We're not going to have any speculative nitro throws, I don't think. Hatches open, Pino droning, and NIP, they can start round number 1.
It's a very standard setup coming out of TSM, to be honest. The only change you'd maybe look at in this lineup would be Gio stepping away from the Aruni and instead bringing along a Wamai, but they don't need that second shield. They've already got so much coming in here that, hey, why bother? I think it's more for the anti-nade utility that I'm looking at to pair up with the Jaeger. Aruni sort of fills that role. 3 laser gates will eat through nades, for example. Teams don't want to see themselves losing out drones. And the Chief is out the window to find the first entry off this series onto Muzi, but Kamikaze's there straight for the trade. Good team play.
Well, what a start we've just had inside of the first minute practically. We've got a kill on either side, and that's what I want to see out of this one. I've just got a feeling it could turn into a real battle of the fraggers. Pino just going to hold down that white corridor for the time being. No nades available, so not much that he can do to actually move Bolo out of position here, but if Bolo is forced back, reveals them toesies, he might just see them getting a little bit of attention from Pino.
Yeah, if he holds tight here for the longest time, then really the onus comes on to NIP to be the ones to make a move, and now they're running out of grenades altogether, right? They've gone through all of their frags, and Bolo has indeed somehow dipped his way out of the bathroom and straight back in, so lost the shield, left the room, and has now dipped his way back in, got some support from a smoke canister. Pino, knowing that he's going to find nothing here without any nades on side, so has got to come up with a new tactic. TSM holding pretty firm under the assault of those frag grenades, and now that none are left, and we're only down to a single flash, it's looking pretty good. I think NIP were expecting a different sight, given they've got 6 breaching rounds here, which are, for all intents and purposes, basically useless. You had a sledge to open hatches. You don't need those gadgets.
Psycho
They
knows
brought it
he's
to go downstairs. Too easy. Bolo finds yet another. He is giving them the run around here inside a white Tim.
I can only assume that Psycho thought that maybe Bolo had rotated underneath there. He's just going wild at the minute, and this all comes from that missed opportunity of Psycho. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe he doesn't see the pixel, but I'm almost certain that he must have done. He flicked towards it and then just went back paying his attention. I know he's worried about being pushed from lumber, but by just moving forward like that, he exposed himself too much. Bolo absolutely free to step up and get the kill. Great mid-round from him. It's all down to Julio. The time is gone. NIP lose, and TSM, finally we get a successful first defense of the top floor. Well played for the American side. Great job, to be fair. They just frustrated NIP there. They didn't give them anything. And as you say, Des, I'm not sure NIP were quite set up for that take.
If they'd done that in a scrim in NA, everyone would be going, why is he jumping out there, man? 2 jump outs from TSM in the first round? That looks calculated to me, if nothing else. Remembering again that we've already seen this map played by NIP, TSM can sit here and go, well, you've played it 3 times, you've won it once, you've lost it twice. We can see where you guys struggle. We know it's the clock. We know you play these positions. And they've capitalized on that well in the first round. 2 well-placed jump outs, netting them 2 kills. And Bolo has said the monster, the terror of White Corridor, keeping Pino guessing and able to give him a kill over the other way. Just very well played by TSM, not overly aggressive in terms of their positions being held, but all the work was done in those 2 jump outs.
Really well played. Going to be heading in round number 2 then down to a reading room. It's going to be our mid-floor site. We're going to see attention again to the top floor, just a little bit deeper this time. We probably might have somebody starting out in piano, but they'll drop away quite quickly. They'll allow NIP into the map probably a little bit more freely here because they've got to have utility on that mid-floor as well, so they can't completely commit to that top floor hold. But they are going to try and hold on to Cocktail TSM. That's going to be their focus over on the right-hand side of the map. They're going to try to lock down this east side for as long as possible because that's where your ceiling is above the site, and they're desperately, NIP want to get Pino in there and get him opening everything up. So we've got a couple of men stationed over there to begin with. That's going to continue as the round goes on. TSM, they will play their lives there for as long as possible. Looks like we might have somebody just roaming between barback storage and bathroom, which I like. It's a nice high line. Doesn't give NIP too much breathing space.
Yeah, and I like again that TSM are being aggressive here in their hold out towards the west, currently inside of storage, knowing that NIP are slow. What's the best thing you can do? Slow down that clock even further by giving them more problems in the round. And some describe the game. You speak to coaches, they'll look at it this way. Siege is a problem-solving game. You come across a shield set up with reinforcements, ADSs around. You need to figure out the solution. Most of the time, those solutions are already figured out, and it's just a case of doing them and executing them as you may have done many times over in scrims. But when something new comes in front of you, or you know that you've got to get through it and it takes time, that's when it can sting. And here, they're being held up towards white, finally having that pixel shield blown away, only for the Frost to dip back away inside a bathroom.
And look at the effect of that first round as Muzi checking those windows. He's worried about the potential for the run out. Even if TSM don't actually play another run out, it will have now a lasting impact, a ripple effect through these first 6 rounds where NIP are going to have to be overly cautious about it and keeping their eye on it. It might just take their focus away from the goal.
Halfway into a round, nearly out of frags, basically out of flashes, still got 5 breaching rounds in back pocket that you want to be using on the floor to give you the visibility downstairs, just in case Pino falls by the wayside. All they've really done so far is clear out that shield on Pixel. TSM unbothered, still in storage, Achieve playing below, Frost currently on Pixel. They're just in so many good key positions, and Achieve finds yet another entry. NIP being ground to a halt by TSM, and really here you're looking for a miracle, you're looking for a saviour. And finally they're starting to step their way in. Muzi on the hunt downstairs for Achieved, who picked up his man just a few seconds ago inside a train. But I'll tell you what, Tim, it's not looking too good.
It's not at all, and Achieved has had so many of those important kills so far in the tournament, and there's another one for him. I've been so impressed by him up to this point. Gio's going to find himself downed, and a couple of kills come back in for NIP. They keep themselves fighting in the round. They've got time, but they don't have the map control, Des. That's the problem. There is still a man above them. I believe it's Bolo on the Frost, and he could be a nightmare, but Julio shuts him down with a headshot. That was essential. Achieved again. I keep shouting about him, and he keeps delivering. 3rd kill in the round, brings it back level 2v2. He just won't allow his team to fall behind. Uncharacteristic couple of first missed bullets from Pino there, but he does manage to lock down the kill. Onto Charla, finds the second onto Achieved, and I feel like TSM maybe just let NIP back into that one a little bit.
They do. With how it started, again, the time really working against NIP. No map control on side, no vertical control coming in, most importantly. You know, everything goes right for TSM strategically, but I've always said it, Tim, Siege, at its heart, is an FPS game. You need to be winning your gunfights or removing the need for them through things like C4s or the clock. But if you can't hit your shots, you're going to lose rounds. Achieve with a 3K, not enough to help TSM in round number 2. We're going to head down into Kitchen on this next setup. Imagine we're going to see more of those breaching rounds brought along, as this is the site where there is tons to get opened up.
There is absolutely that. They're going to want vertical control much quicker than they've gained it. We saw them get it there. Julio killing Bolo, about 40 seconds left on the clock, maybe a little bit less. They need much more time than this. Like you say, there's a lot to open up, there's a lot to clear out, there's a lot of work to be done. So NIP, we need to start seeing you wake up a little bit here, guys. You need to be getting yourself in there quickly, aggressively, and taking over those top 2 floors. Now, we know that is not necessarily words that we associate with NIP. Quickly, aggressively, taking control by the halfway mark. It's not always the case, and it is something that they suffer with, and they have done for quite a while, is running out of time, coming into executes in the last 5-10 seconds, not having a choice but to just slam a diffuser down wherever their feet find them, and they need to show us something different in these later stages.
I like what they got here in terms of the castle. Whenever I see a castle, you always get quietly excited about, oh, there's some crazy idea here.
They've got a plan. In the words of XR Troika, if you're bringing a castle, you've got a strat.
Is that what he says?
That's what he says. He's absolutely convinced about that.
I can hear the words in my head as well.
If you're bringing a castle, you got to strat. He means it more in terms of ranked, but, you know, it works. It's true. You just know there's a very specific thing going to happen if there's a castle on the board.
Absolutely. It normally means they're trying to control an area of the map to be able to retreat back through, for example, or slow defenders down. We've seen some really creative uses so far throughout the group stage. I'll look back towards the double castle barricades around Printer, for example, when you're defending staff an open area on Bank. Really good way of making sure no one's going to get in behind you whilst you're focusing up towards Square. But more about Bank later on. For now, we're looking at how this round's starting out. It's going to be a full map clear coming in for the side of NIP, it looks like, Tim, as we've already got Pino up on the top floor and several others looking to join him on top.
Sacco just going to open a couple of windows up there, try and support the clearance, cut off the potential, rotate back down red stairs. He's just going to likely hold that angle for a little while, see if he can catch any of these defenders out as they start to move, but they're not going to have to head in that sort of direction, I don't think. We've got the Rooney there of Bolo going to drop down the hatch that's been opened. Interesting play here, Des. They've got Freezer pretty much open.
Yep.
Hatch and wall. Access is there for NIP if they can clear out the people that are watching it. Very quick from NIP at least. They're on the mark, Des.
They're on the
for
130.
NIP, that's quick.
I love how on this map we both have our little sticklers, right? You at the bar and cocktail, me when attacking
130
downstairs.
for the hammer.
130 on the mark is where you need to be. Or a bit quicker, that's also fine.
Like we say, for NIP, that's probably a little bit ahead of the curve because they do take their time sometimes, but they're looking for these vertical angles now. They haven't really had too much joy yet, but what they are doing is moving those defenders round, they're shifting them. VIP needs to be cleared out if they're going to look to play it towards Freezer, which it looks like Muzi is heading in that direction. The nades start raining in from above, but still TSM are doing well here. They're keeping themselves out of trouble. Achieved is going to be the player inside of VIP on the smoke, if my eyes don't deceive me, and that is going to be a critical position here for him to hold on to. Gio just taking a lot of damage there inside of Kafe, and he could be in trouble if that pressure continues.
First smoke coming out as well for a bit of support. It's going to be a very hot drop coming in for NIP at this stage, it looks like. Still going to burn through more of those smokes, but they stay online. Julio finding Bolo, who had a fantastic round 1. Quiet in round 2, non-existent in round 3. Merc finds one back on the other side, so a 4 versus 4 as we get towards that last 10 seconds. Psycho's dropped in, but they've got to look in for the plant. Achieved on a bit of a late swing here, waiting for Muzi to come down on white stairs. But Tim, the plant needs to start now. Kamikaze into position inside of Kafe, starting it down, but oh, there's an echo. Unlucky, I guess.
If you remember, Des, at the beginning of that round, I said quite often, NIP will come in and try to plant with 10 or 5 seconds left, because they have to, because they've got to that point, and that is exactly the problem that we've just seen there. Muzi goes in, 3 seconds left to go, have to try and pop the diffuser down, doesn't have a choice about where, or whether there's cover in place, or many of the other things that you would like to be going on whilst you have a plant go down, and when there's an echo on the other side, it's a great pick from TSM. You know, you look at a team like NIP, you think, could be a few really late plants here. Let's play the Echo. Gonna get us a couple of free rounds. And that's exactly what the Yokai drone does there. Well played from TSM. NIP for the first half of it, great. Got themselves in, got map control, working the verticals, damage onto Gio. They just never dealt with Achieved inside of VIP. Something that they needed to do, really. Clear that shield out and get Achieved moved. And then they could have focused and had better cover for Muzi. You know, all the other things start falling into place.
The comp overall was just built to slow them down, right, when you looked at it. You know, looking in towards the castle, in towards the Yokais. Everything was just about wasting time and forcing them into a very rushed ending. And that's exactly what TSM got. Read NIP like a book. Now, what I like here on the top floor, that sounded a weird way to say book, didn't it? I've always been told I said book weird, though. I've got a book rather than book. Book. How do you say? You say book as well?
You can't say book.
I know, it sounds really weird, didn't it?
Why would you say that?
You're going to so my missus always
Some people in the UK say book like reading a book or because of the double O sound. They'll say book and Luke.
So this is the thing. My missus is like from near Cambridge, bless her heart and soul. Like she's not from Cambridge. She always tells me she's from the crap area near Cambridge. But she always goes to me, you say pub, and it should be like pub. It should be book with like a H in it. I hate it, and I'm just like, no, you live near me. It's book, it's pub, and it's castle, not castle. Come on. Speaking of castle, there is one in this round once again. And I did think we were going to see it when you see the Irunian castle pairing on this site. You know exactly what you're going to get. We've got the double setup coming in inside the windows, inside of Piano itself. So this one here will protect the player that is inside of Cigar Shop itself. Words evade me for a second. They did have a castle on the south side of things. Obviously, that's now been changed away. And there's a laser gate on this single wall because teams always want to come in inside that right-hand one because you're more tucked in against the hard wall. Can't be challenged from Pixel as you step through into the wall if you open up the right-hand one.
Muzi working from underneath there just to try and soften up a little bit of utility. Sends in the Ash Breach in charge to do some work from underneath. We can see that it opens the castle barricade. That's an interesting one I'm not sure I've seen before. It's a nice little angle, a nice little way of doing that. You don't have to risk yourself on the rappel of the piano windows, which is usually what we see. And yeah, I'm all for that. That's going to open that up. There's still the laser gate to be dealt with. Pino is on that white rappel again. Now, interestingly, he's got both of his nades this time, Des. Not been used to clear out castles, for example. So he could aggress much easier into bathroom from there.
Yeah, Charlie's just burning through the clock here as well. But 90 seconds in, and NIP do not have boots inside the map yet. They're on the rappel. They're holding up on the red hatch, but no one's gone for a drop, understandably, because they want to clear Charla out. A nade finally coming through. He's down, but not out. Still has the cover coming in, and Achieved, I think, was looking to give some support from below, but he's now dipped away too. Psycho, they're obviously not aware that he was down for a brief second. Not a bad hold, though. If on that hold you're losing a man, but burning through 2 minutes of the clock, I'd count that as a win, Tim.
That's quite all right. As we've said, it's TSM's strategy, or it appears to be, to waste as much time as possible. So that is a positive for them. Pino sends one nade into Lumber. Oh, He sees the man too late. Nade already in his hand and achieved with another one of those important kills. I'm going to keep stressing it because his kills come at critical moments. It was a potential for NIP to be 2 men ahead at this point, but no, achieved keeps them in touch. 3 versus 4. Psycho gets aggressive into sight, shut down in the crossfire. Bolo, Merc, they don't need to move to find themselves one apiece. Bolo doubles down. It's all up to Julio, and that is a sentence that I keep repeating, but the outcome is the same. Merc, he shuts it down, and TSM take round 4, and they now lead 3-1.
2 minutes wasted around Cigar shot. Beautiful from TSM. And on an IP side, maybe wager a little bit slow. They do keep on running low on these nades when trying to break these positions. So it gets a little bit dicey, a little bit ropey in the dying seconds. Enough so that NIP has said after 4 rounds, look, enough is enough. It's 3-1. We are crumbling on these attacks. Let's have a quick timeout and have a discussion. There's still 2 more rounds of their attack inside to go, and they know they need to find something here. Otherwise, they're careering very quickly towards a 1-3 record on Kafe across SI 2022.
There's going to be plenty to talk about, I think, at this point in time for NIP, and one of them is going to be how do we speed things up?
Yeah.
How do we get more aggressive? How do we get in there? How do we disrupt TSM? That's another thing that's not really been happening for me, and it goes hand in hand with time, Des, and that is disrupting the defenders, moving them, clearing their utility. Charlo wasn't moved for 2 minutes. He still had the laser gate behind him. He still had some semblance.
I didn't know one thing
there.
I really needed on Valentine's Day was to hear you say laser gate about 4 times in a single round.
Well,
music
clear
to
the
my ears.
laser gates, please. You know, they're not clearing out that utility, and it's not forcing TSM to move. And I've said this countless times. What do defenders do at the beginning of the round? They put themselves in what they see as their best, perfect position. If you don't move them, they're going to be comfortable. They're going to hold their angles. They're going to play behind the utility, and that's exactly what TSM were able to do there. 2 minutes wasted inside a Cigar, and that means that that's 2 minutes that everybody else has been left alone because the focus was Cigar and Bathroom. And neither of them really got dealt with. So then, as we saw, Merc and Bolo, they're just sat waiting. So at the point where you have to just push into bar, they're going to cut you down.
It's a total change away from what we saw earlier on. Now you've got Merc on the castle rather than Gio. You've got Bolo playing on the smoke. Charla going across onto the mute and achieved on the Kaid. So a very defensively orientated setup. That said, Bolo is playing with the FMG, and we've seen what Citizen and EUL pioneered, which was bringing on Chalet. What he'd do is take the shield, he would set up on Mezzanine by himself when they were defending up towards Master and Office. He would, or sometimes inside of Bar and Gaming, and he'd go and sit out there with the FMG. And his whole thing in the interview he said to us after was, well, his gadget's great, he's got a shield and we need a shield and don't want to pick Warden. The FMG is a really good gun. And that started echoing across several different teams then, for example. We saw it coming into Rogue, they started doing it, a couple of others tried it as well. And it's now really kind of rippled around the world where sometimes you do get these more aggressive operators, or players, sorry, picking up more supportive operators because it gives you the utility you need and you still get a great gun.
Achieved is going well so far. I've shouted him out a couple of times. 5 and 2, and very, very sort of crucially timed.
3 of those on the entry, isn't it?
Yeah,
or was it 2?
2, I think.
On the first 2 rounds.
First 2 rounds. Yeah, going very well so far, and like I say, a lot of his times are sort of really, a lot of his kills are really well timed. You know, important kills, and for me, quietly, he's been one of the best players in the tournament so far.
Well, stats will tell you you're lying. That's Merc.
I know that. When you look at the impact on rounds and what he's done, honestly, Achieved is
yeah, he keeps himself
very,
busy.
very well.
What I love here, by the way, is the setup they've actually got inside of storage, where the Maverick is sorely needed in this round. I'm glad they brought it along. They've also got 6 nades now, by the way, so dropping away 3 breaching charges they've bought previously to get another set of nades on the board. What they want to do is get rid of this electro clear inside of storage. It's also been castled off, so it is very much a fortress they need to get into here. And Tim, I don't want to say it's always coming down to the clock, but 75 seconds in, they're still trying to just get control of storage, and TSM aren't even in there anymore.
Nope, they've dropped away. They're going to be playing underneath, and what a nitro from Achieved. That man again, up through the floor, through the wall, finds his mark, and that is an absolute beauty to take Pino down. Muzi, he's going to level things up with a kill onto Merc, but this one is starting to reach those elevated heights that we knew it could. We're starting to see the finesse, Des, from these two teams, and we are starting to see some beautiful kills.
I keep on seeing more of these. Absolutely wonderful. Yes, you've got rid of Pino as well. And what did they do, Tim? What did I say they changed away? They drop reaching rounds to bring more nades. The risk you take there is if your sledge dies, you haven't got as much potential to open things up. And now they might start paying the price for that. Pino, the one being picked up, I believe, also dies. Yes, he does, with both frag grenades in back pocket. It's probably one of the best operators they could have picked up at that point in the round. Dream start for TSM.
Muzi, he's got that top floor control now. He's just looking towards site itself. Just see if he can catch anybody out on the rotate. I don't think he'll have such luck.
Oh, good night.
Quite the opposite, in fact, as Charla steps around and gets himself a nice kill on the reverse vertical, hitting him through the hatch and taking Muzi down. TSM now in the advantage. 4 versus 3, 25 seconds left to go, and NIP once again find themselves in a tough situation. Psycho's just hunting for kills. He's trying to sniff out anything he can find here, but he's not going to, because look how stationary those TSM defenders are. They've no interest in peeking, Des. They've no interest in taking the challenges. Bolo's going to wait for the freest kill of the day as he moves through the fireplace. Time is ticking. In comes a flurry of kills. Can NIP do this? Absolutely not. Kamikaze putting that diffuser down, but he has to come off as the challenge was on its way. And TSM, they win another, this time courtesy of the clock. But really, that's pretty much been the story throughout, Des, because whilst it might not have been physically on time that a number of these rounds have been won, it's still been down in those final seconds for NIP, and a desperate last throw of the dice that fails.
Well, like I say, in that round, the key kill for me was the first one onto NIP. Sledge, Pino falling by the wayside, not just taking away 2 of those additional frags they opted to bring after the tactical timeout, but just crumbling their ability to open things up from above, which meant a push down white. It meant playing around hatches. Just not an ideal start for them in the round, which really, I think, crippled it before it even got started. 4-1 to TSM on the defensive side of things. I don't want to get too excited, Tim, because we have been shown so many times throughout the group stage that when we switch sides and the team that's losing real hard in the first half gets onto defense or attack on some maps, things can completely change around, because of course the clock then really works in your favor for NIP and not against you, as it has done in all of these attacking rounds. Kitchen going to be where we close things out, and it's another setup coming through like we saw before, Tim. We didn't really touch on it too much at the start of the round. We mentioned it at the end. The whole setup is just built around time wasting. The castle, the laser gates, the yokai drones, the smokes. If TSM can keep NIP at bay the same way they did in the prior round until the last 30 seconds or so, I don't see how NIP walk away the winner under any circumstance.
That's it. NIP have got to adapt here. They've got to adjust. They've got to recognise what they didn't do last time. If they're going to go for that freezer-sided push again, please, please, please clear out VIP as soon as you possibly can, because you need to be able to play in and around the bottom of White Stairs in that garage area to be able to have the proper cover to get the diffuser down. You've got to be able to get multiple people inside a freezer with not having to worry about that flank from the rear side. Get somebody down onto VIP window, push in from this side of the map. Pino's doing it, he's there. That's what we want. Don't allow them to sit inside of there. Merc is going to be in an important position here to try and prevent that happening and provide a little bit of support to anybody who's playing over in VIP, which is exactly where we find achieved again. No surprise, because it worked brilliantly last time.
Beautiful stuff. Alrighty. We're at that mark, Tim. You know I always talk about the 130, about that being the point of vertical control for Pino. It's not there right now. They are going to find one inside a coat, and this very really should be dipping away. Otherwise, a nade is going to come singing in towards Merc. And sure enough, that Bolo, I'm a liar, has stepped himself in towards Restaurant. You've got Merc still sat around coat check, so looking to bait out a nade maybe, but doesn't want to get too aggressive. Otherwise, he'll come singing through and he'll be gone, especially with that laser gate being down. Bolo taking a little bit of damage as he gets clipped by the edge of a grenade coming in from the window, but look at just how aggressive TSM are. So you know what? If you aren't going to play vertical, we'll match you laterally. That's absolutely no no problem by us.
That's it, NIP are changing things up. They are trying to do things differently, but they're just coming up against a brick wall at the minute. They cannot move any of these defenders. Bolo, Merc and Achieved are all still in the same position they were 1 minute 40 ago at the beginning of the round. Des, they're even resetting laser gates here. It's just TSM are absolutely on point on this defense. You've got 2 defenders over to the left-hand side, not even involved in this round so far. They haven't had to move. They can just sit on cameras. They can just try and feed info. They can just run the game at this point. Des, everybody's stationary. There's 1 minute to go.
It happens again, time and time again. I keep on saying for TSM, they're just holding these positions, not feeling, rattled too much by the side of NIP, and certainly not as Charla finds the entry. And the last 50 seconds or so for the first kill to come through, again, is going to really slow NIP down. They get one back, but Muzi hits the deck in a little bit of a trade. It's not a full trade, but the kill comes through for Achieve regardless. A 4 versus 3. The laser gate back online. Everything's reset back to how it was essentially at the start of the round, Tim. NIP have got 2 left. The Yokai is still online as well to shut things down if it comes to it. They've got a shield to play into. They're finally out of smoke canisters, but I don't see NIP getting this round.
And this is where Merc is going to cover Achieve. There you go. It's just so perfect. Kamikaze pushed at the same time, gets the kill, but it's just far too late. 10 seconds pushing in through Freezer. Easiest kill of Gio's career as he catches him in the vault there. He comes through nice and easy, and that is going to be another round for TSM, and they are absolutely flying right now. The one thing that I would say, the one cautionary tale, and I'm not going to say it for here on Kafe because I'm not sure that NIP have got too much in the tank here. They really do look like they're struggling. What I would say NIP are a very good team at doing is resetting. They'll come out of Kafe regardless of how this finishes, and they'll come into Coastline strong. So TSM, they need to be ready for that mentally. This is not going to all go their way, I wouldn't expect.
Hang tight for a minute as well, Tim. We're not done with Kafe yet.
I know. There's still time to...
I know what you're saying.
NIP are just seriously on the ropes.
They are on the ropes, but we've seen teams come back from like 5-1 before. We saw an almost come back from a 6-0, for example. There's been all kinds of craziness, and for NIP, they're going for very much a similar setup to what we saw coming out of TSM. So you're looking in towards the castle, you're looking in towards the Aruni, you've got the Wamai on side here rather than the Jaeger, so small stylistic differences, but very much a same sort of vibe. On the other side for TSM, what have we got? Well, we've got the Nomad coming in, great for the flank watch. Bolo's playing on the Finca, so no Iana on side. It's always been, I don't say always, for a while it was kind of a toss-up between do you bring Iana, do you bring Finca? And there was a really good discussion at some point. I think Lycan was involved in the discussion where he said something to the effect of Finca on LAN is just really, really good because of the ADS time, for example, the heal that it gives to you. Everything is so instant, and gunfights are the difference maker. So having that kind of extra juice going into a fight can be really, really valuable. I'm not saying that's the sole reason why Bolo's picked it up here, but it could be a contributing factor towards why they want the Finca over the Iana.
We're going to have we're going to have somebody playing in Charla's position is what I was going to say. It's going to be Kamikaze on the smoke. He's going to try and hold that down. They've done it a little bit differently by the looks of things. He's just going to take the hits on that barricade so that he can take it out much quicker in future. It doesn't affect the clearance of it for TSM more than likely. They're going to use some explosives to clear that out, so it doesn't really change the functionality of that castle barricade in these circumstances where it might do normally if somebody was going to come face to face with it. Bolo in his signature position here, Des. We've said it countless times. He's going to use the Gon 6 to clear off the first castle. Normally we may see him on the Zofia here and he would clear off the second castle barricade and look to challenge onto the player inside a cigar shop. That's obviously not going to be possible for him on the Finca, but he does have other methods of potentially getting rid of that. He could use a nade or somebody else could do it for him and we could see a lovely little bit of teamwork coming out.
Yeah, I'm looking again at the clock because for NIP, it's all fair for us to sit here and say, slow team, not attacking very well. TSM are finding themselves in a similar spot. We've seen ourselves go through 80 seconds. They've got themselves on roofs. They're watching flanks, but NIP aren't bothered. They've still got one inside a cigar shop, one in storage, one in bathroom. They aren't being challenged by TSM, so TSM have got to get themselves stepping forwards a bit here, looking to go more aggressive, because right now, it's looking slow.
It is, and they may well, like you say, suffer a same fate to NIP. We certainly won't be criticising NIP and letting TSM get away with it. We are nearly 2 minutes in, and they are not yet inside the building, Des. They haven't taken the hatch drop, they're not inside of Piano, and they're going to have a lot of work to do when they do finally get there. NIP are just playing their positions. They are quite happy to stay as they are. That's going to be a misfire to begin with from Merc. He's on the concussion grenade, which will be no use against the utility that he was trying to clear. The second one goes through and does the job, and that is going to leave us now with Merc downed as well.
And then you pour the juice and up he gets. Easy peasy. I think he was trying to be careful of any Wamai magnets that were stationed inside a cigar, which have been obviously dealt with here, as both of those did go through. They've now got one. It's Bolo looking to go for a very cheeky swing. If he can get the swing in and win this gunfight, it could be massive. It opens up White. Oh, Muzi turning his back at the wrong moment. But we're down to 25 seconds, Tim. TSM need to pull the trigger and get moving now. Otherwise, NIP win by the clock. I don't think in this phase they're aware that someone's down inside the bags, crouched down. Psycho finding one, a swing comes in, but the Merc gets a shutdown. A 3 versus 3, 10 seconds on the clock. 2 come in for TSM. A 3 versus 2. They're both hanging around White. One's in cocktail. They're going for a plant on the default. I don't think they can stop this one, Tim. This should be a plant going through. It's going to be a retake scenario for NIP. Otherwise, it's 6-1.
TSM just showing a better capability to get in and get that diffuser down in the final seconds. It's something that NIP were unable to achieve. Merc half health though, he's got to stick this out in a 1v1. He's up against Julio, a man who we know can be calm in these critical situations. He's going to find a way if there is one. Merc is there waiting. The shield is cleared out. Smart move from Julio. Knows that Merc is likely using the utility against them. Knows where the diffuser is now. Has 10 seconds to find his kill. And there he comes up against their own castle barricade. There's the peak hole in the wall that's going to allow Merc to make this challenge. It is too late. Nothing Julio can do about it. Well played from Merc. Gets himself that final kill. And TSM, they take their first attacking round to get themselves onto match point. And the difference, Des, was the ability to execute in those final seconds.
It was. I'm not going to say it was a clean round. It still came down to TSM arguably spending more time getting prepped for that execute than NIP did on their attacking side. But the big difference really coming in was the positioning of a couple of players of NIP. Muzi with his back turned on White was trying to get out of dodge, didn't realize that Bolo had got so deep inside a Piano to just swing on White and find himself the opening freebie. Psycho almost got away with 2 or 3 kills, but the communication coming in from TSM was sharp. Bags was called as soon as he found the first kill. They swung and got the second. That then left you 2 or 3 players all a little bit deeper. 1 in storage, 2 around White. One of them was actually in cocktail, but they were dug so far back and unable to retake White and press to try and stop that plant going down because of Bolo that everything just clicked together. So even in the actual executes themselves, TSM are moving faster as a team, and NIP look a little bit floundered, not quite sure how to react, where to go, what's free, what's not. And as said, they found the round they were looking for. 7-1 on the way, potentially, if TSM can get this next round. It's going to be in Reading and Fireplace. We've got a Vigil on side for Psycho, who has really struggled to get involved in this match, it feels, so far.
He had a great double kill in the middle of the round there, and if NIP come away with a win, we're probably saying that it was pivotal. He hit himself prone at Bags, saw the man coming round the corner, drops the diffuser, spins 180, gets one inside a Piano. It was really well played from Psycho, and he only had about 20 HP left at that point as well, so he really maximised his life, but it just wasn't enough. Like I say, maybe you talk about that double kill differently if NIP come away with the round, but the big difference maker there is, and I'm sort of glad that TSM played it in that way because it gives us this like direct comparison. Slow round from NIP lose and don't manage to get the execute off. Slow round from TSM, they get the plant down and win the round, and it is just that direct difference at the minute.
Okay, I mean, looking at the key differences you're already seeing in this round, Tim, how many breaching rounds do you count?
A few.
None. Top left of your screen. Absolutely none on side for TSM. Because remember NIP, they brought 6. They were relying on that plus a sledge to do all their vertical destruction for them. TSM, whether you call it confidence or a little bit being risk-taking maybe, I don't know, but achieved is their key to getting these vertical angles opened up. There's no secondary shotguns or anything of the like coming in here to help them if he goes down. Think about what happened when they had 3 in back pocket breaching rounds, that is, and Pino died early on the sledge. They still couldn't get enough opened up. So really, Achieved is the key in this round for me. If they don't look for a lateral take, that is, he needs to be alive right till the very end to make sure they've got the verticals, can make the defenders sweat, and they can make good use of this top floor. It's the whole reason why teams want top floor control, is so that you can play vertically.
Look at the speed coming in from TSM. They're going to open things up. There's blood in the water, Des, and boy, do TSM know it. Bolo gets himself the opener onto Julio. Achieved in to double down on that advantage. Takes down Achieved, and it's 4 versus 3 inside of 50 seconds. We're seeing a very different attack from TSM to what we saw throughout the 6 attacking rounds of NIP. Now then, Psycho could find his man as he comes around the corner. He's inside of the utility room there, but I'm not sure that Psycho's quite aware of his position. Muzi's going to come down white stairs, and TSM need to be careful. Bolo could find himself trapped here, and he is indeed picked up from above and from horizontally as Psycho manages to get that kill and level things off 3-3.
Cozy. I mean, Bolo there just being completely blindsided by aggression. You probably wouldn't expect at that point in the round as well. He thought he was in a good position to hold it down. Would have turned around and aimed for the hatch a little bit later on when more pressure came in from his team, but Psycho chose the early exit and found a good kill to bring things back to 3 versus 3. Charla finding another. Pino and Psycho, all that stand between TSM and a 7-1. It's a big nade kill coming in for Achieve. What a map he's had at 10-4. I said he had to be alive until the end. It's less so the sledge work in this case. It's the nades that are coming in from above, and they've got 70 seconds to find where Psycho is and close this round out, Tim.
Definite opportunity for them to get in, maybe stick the diffuser down, like you say, just force Psycho to make a play. 50 seconds not even going to matter.
Easy.
I was just going to say 50 HP left. Charla finds him on the white stairs, closes it out, and what an unexpected result for TSM. I'm not saying that we didn't think they'd win it necessarily, but a 7-1 against reigning world champs. It looks like NIP have wound the clock back to day 1 here, Des.
I think, to be honest, it's just really smart prep by TSM. Did they attack the sharpest there? Maybe not. Did they defend well? Absolutely.
We didn't get much of a chance to see the attacks.
We got a couple of rounds of it. And this is the thing, again, you've watched NIP play this map last week. They have no idea what your current strats are, given you've had role changes, for example, and they've just said, look, NIP kind of sucked on this map last week. Let's take them there, let's get a comfortable win, and they've done it in style. TSM taking a blast into the past and coming away 1-0.
Looking good for it. As I said, just some very big differences between what NIP were able to achieve and what TSM were able to achieve. Will that continue through onto Coastline? Who knows? But what TSM have done is coming into a good map for NIP. They've hit them hard before it, and they've got into their heads now, and it might just give them a little bit of an edge.
The thing is, again, talking about Merc and the entries he's got, Achieve is looking great, Bolo was looking great, even Charla was hitting shots. Like, not even the Geo didn't do anything. He didn't have to because the team was playing so well. I'm worried for NIP going into Coastline. This could be a very quick 2-0 to start out the B stream for the day. We'll go to a quick break and keep with that theme of being nice and quick and fast today. When we come back, Coastline awaits. See you in a few.
I'm Pyjamas from TSM. I'm the coach. In the past year or so, we've had countless role changes. People know about them. Sometimes they've been good, sometimes they've been bad. Basically, as soon as we knew that we had to qualify through the open qualifier, that's when we started making all the changes. After SI, we were in the middle of a season where things weren't going the greatest. It was mainly like a reaction to that. We needed to make something happen. A lot of people try to just role change to get honeymoon phases. When they do a roster change, all of their communication is they're adapting, they're talking to each other constantly because they have to, right? But when you kind of get into that slump where you just kind of you're just going through the motions of everything, that's when teams start to get worse. But you can do that same thing where you get back to that, where you're communicating like you should be, but you don't actually have to change anybody out. You just have to change your mindset. We were just trying to figure it out. It's a learning process. And yeah, going into Mexico, our expectations are really high, showing what we could do with such a drastic change in such a short amount of time.
Impressive shots, and he's got more bullets to deliver, and it's TSM taking the first round.
It was pretty impressive how well we did considering the amount of time and my uncomfortableness on the roll.
TSM pick up their first victory here in the group stages.
I learned that entering is a nightmare, and it's not my cup of tea. I like staying in the back. Our main focus for this SI been mainly focusing on ourselves. I know that sounds cheesy, like everybody says, oh, we got to focus on ourselves, oh my God. But we mainly focused on how we can adjust to other people's play, making sure we're able to adapt to things that we're seeing on the fly, not being too stuck in our ways because a lot of the teams at this event are just playing like absolute animals. There's no particular team that we're worried about facing in our group. I know BDS is always, everybody's always loved them. Everybody thinks that we've lost to them for some reason. Never lost to them. We're not planning on doing it again. So I think Furia is a team that they're very hard to read. I'm looking at it as like, who's playing what op on this? Like, I don't know. They'll be a fun team to play. They're also our first match, so I think we could definitely go all the way.
We are here for justice.
There's a lot of friggin' teams, bro.
Welcome back to the B stream, where we are partway through TSM against NIP. And things are not going so well for the Ninjas in Pyjamas. Some might say they are still in bed and fast asleep, as they were just 7-1 on Kafe. Now, Tim, it was TSM's map pick, but that probably doesn't excuse getting 7-1 given you played it 3 times last week, right?
No, it doesn't. And the thing is, I said, coming into Coastline, NIP are good on this map, yada, yada, yada. But the problem with that is, TSM have just had such a good win that they're going to be feeling streets ahead of them at this point. So if you need anything to level maps up, you know, so be it. But Coastline is also just a roll of the dice. You know, for most teams, even if you're good at it, you can still lose it. So not going to be easy. And
not a single player going positive for NIP, sadly.
It doesn't make good reading
and
for NIP fans.
Almost every player going positive for TSM. Gio, as we said, didn't really need to do anything in that game. The rest of the team doing a lot of the hard yards. Achieved at the top a 3-0 entry, 100% cost, plus 6 KD. Unbelievable. And I know for Bolo it says 7-6, but those early rounds, he was running over NIP like a train.
It really was. It was just getting, again, much like Achieve, just coming in with very important kills. You know, we saw it in that final round. He just got himself in, got aggressive, got the entry, followed up, and it was too much for NIP to handle, is the top and bottom of it. They didn't, when they were on the attack, have any answers to the setups of TSM. They couldn't move the defenders. They couldn't get in there. They couldn't win many of the gunfights. And everything TSM tried to do just sort of went perfectly for them in a lot of ways.
Yes, it's looking rough, is all I can really say. We've said it to death at this point. We are concerned for NIP coming into their own map pick, but there is that small swing. It is their map pick. In terms of side selection, I don't think it's going to have a huge influence, to be completely honest with you. Coastline, I think one of those maps here, they've only got 2, Bank and Coastline, that are attacker leaning at the moment, which honestly really surprised me. Given the current state of the game, many would say, oh, it's an attacker kind of sided game at the minute. You're seeing a lot of lean towards it. we're seeing defenders do plenty fine, Tim. And I think a lot of that, honestly, comes down to the flexibility of defense these days. We spoke about it the other day. We're not in a mute Mozzie meta. We're not in a utility meta, for example. Those things are all still viable, but you're not forced to play any one particular way.
No, absolutely not. It's going to come down to a lot of gunfights, I would imagine, and right now I would edge that for TSM. It's funny because coming in here, Des, I looked at, obviously, did the prep yesterday, and we have 2 teams coming in with identical records in the group stages.
Yep. They do actually have 2-1-0-1 records.
Literally identical
same points,
records
same
in terms of wins. And I look at it and I think they were on different trajectories.
Yeah.
TSM had their wins at the beginning of the group stage, and then they tailed off. They were on a downward trend. NIP, however, they'd had their tough spot, and they were on the up. And now they have just come crashing down in that last map.
You know what I love? Because NIP finished second in their group. I know, again, equal records, but different groups. NIP finished second, and the way the seeding worked for the playoffs is the teams that finished second in their group got to pick a team from a different group that they would play. So NIP literally hand-picked TSM and said, yeah, we can beat TSM. Looking like it might be an instant regret kind of scenario. A bit of heartbreak on Valentine's Day. Not a match to be made. Let's get into Coastline, though, as we kick things off with our operator bans.
It's going to be the Lion to kick us off. NIP banning out the Lion.
Raw? Raw.
Raw, question mark?
Raw XD?
Not going to be any more Raws in this one, as we won't be seeing the E1D scanner. Thatcher, a little bit more standard from TSM.
Yes, the Thatcher looking very typical, and even on this map when you don't really need hard breach, it's about breaking up those kind of big chunks of utility. If you see magnets, magnets or Wise, same thing. Magnets or ADSs, mute jammers, for example, and you just want to get past them pretty speedy, it's a good way of doing it. What NIP not the best at? Being speedy. Slowing down with that Thatcher ban, a great idea. Valkyrie, another very atypical ban that we're very used to seeing throughout the group stage so far. And Kai going to be the last one. We spoke about this a few times. The reason why you ban it away here is because of the VIP double wall. Outside of that, not really all that relevant on this map, but it just makes things like Penthouse and Theatre way more defendable. More teams will head there. So not at all surprised to see it being taken away just to stop that room being a bit of a nightmare for the attackers to get through.
NIP going to start on the defence this time around, and as we've said, Des, normally we would say Coastline, attackers, okay. We've seen much better defences through SI. So where normally I might have come into this thinking, NIP just got taken apart on Kafe and now they're on the defence of Coastline, this is not looking good for them. Don't worry too much, NIP fans. We've not seen as much of that here at SR. So I think NIP are going to be just fine on the defence. They're going to be taking us...
What a lineup.
They're going to be taking us to kitchen and service to begin with. Immediately catching my eye, there's 2 things in there. There's Warden and Oryx.
I'm just like, what? Okay, I'll see it. I mean, just looking at like Warden, Alibi, and Oryx alone, those are 3 kind of fringe picks that are normally like that spicy 5th pick you make in a comp to make it a little bit kind of, I always describe it as like the augmenter of a comp. You'll pick that random sort of op that kind of changes the way you play a little bit. But here they've gone for 3, and most interestingly, no shield. Normally when you bring along the Warden, it's because you want the shield. And we're all used to seeing the shield that gets set up inside a service entrance. I tell you what, Easy is just a mind reader. He knew exactly where I was going. Thank you, Easy, our observer, for that one. You'll always see a shield there facing towards the service entrance doorway. Without that on side, you're probably not going to see someone playing on that rotation, or if they are, they'll be on the kitchen side of things and looking to challenge from behind cover. So it's one of those that I'm looking at and thinking you may have just made TSM's life a little bit easier, especially knowing that there are no ADSs and no magnets.
Big shout out to our observers, Easy, Cyano and Medics, doing an unbelievable job behind the scenes here at SI, as we have come to expect. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't appreciate it.
You know what's really cute?
Amazing.
Easy's not normally the kind of guy to get excited about little things. Like he's I can't really describe him anyway. He's a unique guy. And he messaged into our group chat yesterday in the EWL group chat, like, can someone please get one of the calling cards? I really want it as a souvenir. And I was like, that's really adorable. Easy, we'll sort you out with 10 of them if you want. You've been an absolute hero throughout the whole event. Casted on Friday when he wasn't feeling... Observed on Friday when he wasn't feeling very well, for example. You know, absolute heroes, all three of them.
They certainly are. It's been a great performance so far, and a great performance from TSM here inside of the server. Pino just roaming underneath inside a service at the minute. He knows that they're trying to stack up above him. He knows they're trying to work the verticals. Nitro in hand, no pressure from service. So he can wait, he can pick his moment. He's just waiting for the sledgehammer to start swinging, which it will, and it forces Kamikaze out of position. Now's your moment, Pino. He sees it come out. I think he might just snatch at this one and go a little bit too soon. I don't think he did
replaced.
Yeah, he did get it rid of it, and he missed his spot. He was hoping that they came in more towards master bed rather than going towards window. Sometimes you just got to take your chance and see what comes out of pot. Look, he didn't get any that time.
You know, Merc once... Sorry, not Merc. Achieve told me he has one game that he prefers more than Siege. Do you know what it is?
What is it?
Minesweeper, because he dodges these mines like an absolute pro. Yeah. He's played so much Sledge that he just doesn't care. He'll step in and swing that hammer all day. Very rarely gets caught out by C4s. It's worth touching on as well. And again, with all of the bathroom side opened up, it means playing inside a service and entrance even more risky. I'm thinking here TSM probably start to identify what they can get away with. The one thing they've got to be mindful of is the player inside of security. Julio, like you're seeing on screen right now. The thing is for NIP, they've reinforced the far right wall there, so they can get in and plant behind that if they want to. Merc's in with the first kill. They really want to get rid of security, though. If it does get cleared out, they're pretty much free to go in and go for the plant. I'd say they're pretty much free. That would be NIP in this case, Tim.
Oh, up to Julio here. He's on the Malusi and he's playing this well. He's dipped himself back a little deeper. He knew that the nades were likely to come. Moosey's managed to get himself into courtyard. He sees the barrel of the gun. I don't think he's picked up on it. And he's not going to pick out Bolo. Still manages to react quicker of the two, though. Gets his kill. Achieve finds Psycho. 4 versus 3. TSM keep themselves on top, but the clock is ticking. 15 seconds left to go, and NIP start the collapse. But Charla manages to find one, Merc another, and TSM looking good. Julio's left alone in the cold here, Des. He's fighting long angles and then has to take the rotate. Achieve. He's going to have all the time in the world to get this diffuser down, and surely now it is too much to ask from Julio. Left in another difficult situation, just as happened a number of times on Kafe. It continues here. Steps out and loses the first gunfight. Achieved. Finishes the round as well as getting the plant. TSM take number 1.
Man on a mission this series. You kind of reminded me of Invitational playing Sledge from Sandbox Gaming. This is when they were playing on Kafe during the group stage. He was just everywhere doing everything, and Achieve there has done exactly the same, right? Where he started up on the top floor, dodged around C4s, got everything opened up to soften it up ready for an execute, then stepped through lobby and helped with the push inside of security to force Julio back, then gets the diffuser from a dead teammate and plants it behind that single reinforced wall that I mentioned in the triple wall, looking up in towards from lobby, up in towards service entrance. Just generally a busybody is how I'd describe him, Tim. So no real hesitancy on his side. A great first round for TSM, who end with 3 still alive.
NIP going to change sites, not going to go back to kitchen, move into hooker and billiards. That's something that we've seen a lot at SI, actually. When teams have lost the site, there's not really been a lot of them sort of going back and trying it again. We've had much more of a sort of
3-site rotation.
Movement meta, just like get moved on when you've lost.
There's only one team in my mind I can think of that have done that, and I forget which team it was. It's in my notes somewhere. I was like, oh, they're a team that have done that. Fair play, I'll note that down. Others are sticking to the same 3-site rotation, which is interesting unless you're on a map like Villa, where teams like Dark Zero, like TSM when they play, will make use of all 4 sites and just jump between them to try and keep the opponent guessing.
I mean, for anybody wondering, you know, why I bring 6 months ago, we'd have quite often seen a team try kitchen, lose kitchen, go back to kitchen, and, you know, try to get it done, try to adapt, try to change. But just no, it seems to have dropped away a lot here at SI, and teams wanting to just mix it up and keep them guessing. Muzi is going to be on the Warden again. No real impact massively of that operator in the last round, but we'll see if he can do a little bit more with it. Does have the shield with him this time, which maybe just mixes up things a little bit in terms of the defense.
That's it. It was Psycho on it in the previous round, who I think now wants to get a bit more mobile out in the map, hoping to find entries for the team. The Des did touch on, he's like 11, 18 or something in entry at the minute, so it's not the best overall in the competition, but at least getting him on a more mobile operator should deliver the goods. Muzi being on the chunky boy that doesn't move particularly fast, and you hear him everywhere he steps.
Still waiting for an entry kill. 1 minute into the round, TSM are going to be on the drones. There we go, a little bit of information for Bolo as a man just streaks past his drone. not able to have an immediate impact on it, but Pino does find himself down. There's your impact. Bolo goes in with a nade, gonna finish the kill as soon as it explodes. No, he just gets away with it. And in comes Julio to try and save the day. He's got his cape on, he's trying to make that superhero rescue, but Merc, he's gonna manage to find Pino and shut him down. Julio therefore dips away from the fight. He's not gonna throw more fuel on the fire and give himself away as well, but that was a real valiant effort from the man.
It wasn't a bad shot, yet the problem is TSM once again have the vertical control. I know they don't really need it so much for this site, but they're making sure those roaming downstairs below are forced back up, and you've just seen two of them hightail it up. Cool vibes. Julio now left alone inside a bathroom, and I'm wondering if TSM know. Oh, they see him on the deck. Oh, Merc almost find the kill, almost losing his life in the process as well, but both sides ultimately taking no damage.
Muzi lucky to get away with that one there. I thought Merc might just step out and get aggressive, but no, playing it easy, waiting for his team to get in position. Doesn't want to lose this power of 90 corridor and the elbow corner too early. Wants to be able to hold down any potential. Muzi finds his shot and hits Bolo, slapping him off the window. And there goes Merc in response. This is just turning into a battle of finesse.
Merc just like, I'm gonna end this kid's whole career. Just wait for him to step out. The one tap was Muzi's kind of crouching, diving all over the place, leaning back and forth, and casual as a cucumber. Merc's like, one shot is all it takes. Gets the shutdown, a 4 versus 3. But Tim, final 30 seconds of the round is where things really start to pick up. There's still a lot of utility in TSM's back pocket, so I want to see it brought out now. Just rain down hell on NOP and go for the round end.
Beautiful shot from Gio there. Julio fighting hard for the trade though. He's inside a sight, shut down from the door. It's Merc on the double. It's all up to Kamikaze. He needs to go big, but can't. Merc closes it out. TSM 2-0 Des, and there are a lot of worried NIP fans out there right now because this is not going well. They are currently 9-1 down on rounds through this best of 3. They have only secured 1 round against TSM so far.
I wasn't maintaining a perfect count as well, but I didn't scratch down many entries. I think 2 in the last map and none so far in this one. Just everything being taken from NIP by TSM. It's looking terrifying. Like, what do you do? I mean, apparently their suggestion is, how about Penthouse Theatre? We spoke about the Kai ban coming in, makes that a little bit harder to defend. It forces the other side to bring a Maverick, which, sure, you might look at as a less optimal pick on this map, but M4, good gun for 1, and you get 2 nades in the back pocket. You won't see it picked out here because TSM know they can do all the work they need to with the Hibana. Oryx coming in once again, which admittedly you might be bringing here less so for the gadget or the ability. You're more looking in towards the wee-woos there, the ability to transform sight a little bit, and of course a terrible gun in the first place.
You mentioned the entry. We had a slightly interesting and unusual situation on the entry in that last round, Des. I don't know if you spotted it, but Bolo goes in, gets the down onto Pino. Merc then finishes him from above, but Bolo is still alive. So the kill is Bolo's because it is attributed like that now. We had the change recently whereby if you down somebody and they are killed whilst you are still alive, the kill is yours. So whilst it shows up on the kill feed as Merc, it will be on the leaderboard attributed to Bolo.
That's the one kill.
And it's always interesting when it's on entry because then you've got the whole
Yeah, to be honest, that is why in my notes and my little stats that I take round to round, I only take which team got the entry.
Well, I've got Merc, brackets Bolo.
That's too much for me to write.
I don't miss a trick.
I just literally write down like a little white line in the TSM box to go, yes, they got an entry. And if they roll 2 or 3 in a row, I'll note down 3 to say, yes, they dominated and went 5 versus 2 very quickly.
Gio's going to be getting that double wall open into VIP very quickly, attacking into Penthouse this time around, so NIP choosing to move on once again, not going back to any site that they've played already, and it's understandable with the way TSM have been rolling through this one on the attack so far. They've got the access now, TSM, to VIP, so that's potentially, yes, it's already forced anybody who was playing in there away, but they are still NIP trying to hold it from the corridor there. They've got the holes opened up. There's going to be potential for a big nade coming in there. It's going to do a little bit of chip damage onto Pino, but not too much at all. About 15 health has gone there, and he's just going to hold his angle onto that window in case anybody gets any ideas about rappelling in.
One thing I think is really missing from TSM's attack here is smokes, right? To cut off those longer sight lines from down in theatre, for example. If anything, they'll probably try and look for a tuck just inside the left of the double window and try and stick a plant down there. But for that, they need to clear out VIP, which is exactly why they've opened the wall up. It's exactly why they're trying to apply some pressure in there. They really want 90 to be clear, but the problem is those were my magnets, as we know. They recharge across the round. One was there present on 90. Psycho's still got 2 in back pocket. That's a long time to hold on to those. I'd love to see him thrown out somewhere at least to catch these nades as they keep on raining in.
Great angle that Pino was holding there, just between the wall and the bed frame, just trying to get an angle onto Hall of Fame. Psycho spots his man, takes down Bolo with a headshot. He was trying to creepy crawl his way into sight there, but NIP were well aware of the potential for that. Take him down. Charlo tries to fill his position, but time is now ticking. NIP looking a little bit more secure inside of this round than they have so far. Achieved taking damage. TSM struggling to get themselves in, but Gio just brute forces it, Des. He goes in, he gets the kill, he starts putting the diffuser down, the cover's there. Charlo, Merc, big round from TSM, and that is the diffuser secured, planted, and it's a 1v3, and guess who it is once again, Des? Julio in that tough spot, that difficult position. He finds one man, he knows he's inside a bathroom, peeks around the back of the bomb chassis, Gio gets the kill, and that's going to be NIP losing a round, which 20 or 30 seconds there looked like it was going their way, Des.
It did. Tim, I really want to come back to the point that I raised in the middle of that round. We saw 3 flashes raining through that double window. Psycho was sat there with 3 magnets. You'll see it on the replay here, look. 3 still sat in back pocket as more and more flashes are raining in to keep NIP at bay. I know it's a risk to sometimes expose yourself out, but just chuck them somewhere towards bathroom if you need to catch those nades and stop them flashing out your teammates. They were fortunate that in most gunfights they weren't full flash, but at one point you did see Psycho go full white screen, so he couldn't step in and stop the swing coming through. It's a very small detail, but there's a reason why you bring a Wamai, and I feel in that round it has punished them.
And NIP are heading in one direction at the minute, Des, and that is down to the lower bracket at this point. Our reigning champions, our defenders are going to be coming back in, and they're going to have to make one hell of a run if they want to get through to the final should this continue. There is still time. I am not writing them off yet. You all know that I'm a big fan of the LATAM region, and I've enjoyed watching NIP's successes, but right now they look a shadow of their former selves here, Des. Is the reality.
Yeah, and in the next round, I believe it's MIBR that wait for them, or is it Furia? It's Furia. We spoke about it yesterday. Because they are Oxygen. Yes, the losers, sorry. Yes, they play. Winners play Furia, losers play MIBR. So no matter what happens, TSM is real running the gauntlet. I joked about it on Twitter.
They're just going
right?
LATAM door after LATAM door.
Oxygen are in exactly the same boat. They're playing currently against FaZe. They've got Team Liquid in the next round, which I do not want to face, as they are looking like most likely winners overall. If they get knocked down, another LATAM team waits. These 2 NA teams are really running the gauntlet.
What I love is we're looking at this based on the group stages, and we do this every time. It's only natural at a tournament, and we say, right, Team Liquid are looking great at the minute. They're probably number 1 going into this. They really have been dangerous. But I know, just like there was in the groups, there are going to be surprises in this knockout phase, and we have no idea what they're going to be. They're just going to come from absolutely nowhere, and we're going to have teams that maybe we're looking at now thinking, they might struggle. And they're going to come through, and we're going to see them in like the last 4. And it's going to be amazing. I cannot wait to see who those teams are. I guarantee there will be at least one surprise team who you would not predict now are going to be in that Final 4. And I can't wait to see the run that
Who are the non-surprise teams for you to be Final 4? Because I'm thinking Liquid, Damwon Kia, arguably TSM after what you've seen from there.
TSM. The 4th spot, I really want to give it to an EU team, but I'm not going to.
I always want to be able to say Empire, but I just can't do it.
I think maybe Space Station Gaming.
Yeah, they're up there as well. They're playing pretty good.
They've been playing well.
A bit more volatile than TSM, I'd argue.
Little bit, but I think they've been playing well. Or I would say, maybe one of the other LATAM teams, FaZe, maybe Furia.
It's going to be spicy either way. M&M lower bracket run the dream?
Who knows?
Who knows? That's how crazy these big tournaments can get. Psycho's down to about 30 HP after taking some damage, but it's Pino on to Merc. The man we praised for his entry hadn't died up until that point on this entire map, was 7-0, and Pino puts an end to that hot streak.
That is a great kill, just hitting him through the soft wall there. Onto the door, knows exactly where he is. Bolo's going to relocate. trying to get himself over to kitchen window, just very conscious of that pool entrance window, doesn't want peeking out. Achieved, he's working the verticals, he's got himself established inside a VIP, doing some renovation, ripping up that lovely wooden flooring that we see, and one of the NIP defenders just manages to hightail it out of there as the floor gets ripped up above him. But it's a beautiful example that we get to see in front of us of why you do the vertical. It's about moving the defenders. That's the reaction that you get from them. Achieved looks to push down Cool Vibe stairs. He's got one hard to his right here. Not sure he's aware of it. Charla finds a beauty onto Muzi, and Achieved and Kamikaze trade each other out. Charla's working hard from the opposite side of the map here, and it's now 2v2. Gio just brute forcing his way in. Des, how many times have we seen this from him? He's got an opportunity to get the diffuser down. 3 seconds, he's got to do it. He's going to stick it, but this resurrection is going to give an opportunity to secure that. It's all up to Gio, Des.
Hasn't really got many kills so far and won't find one here. Psycho bringing Pino back from the grave, but not needing him in the end. 2 kills to close out. And going to stick the disable. NIP finding their second round of this series.
Whew, didn't think you'd be saying that today.
Nope.
Especially not in the second map. You know, that's the reality at the minute. NIP, though, much better defense from them, although Charla really did nearly rip them in two with that push from the security side. They just couldn't hold him down at all. He was a nightmare for them. But ultimately, they had it locked down. I think it was a nice decision at the end as well to bring the man back up, get yourself to sometimes having that second gun in those late round situations can be a massive, massive boost. So well played between Psycho and Pino to finish things off at the end there. Gio, a valiant effort getting the diffuser down. Again, we've seen that from him twice now, just brute forcing his way into sight and getting the diffuser down. You love to see it, and it was a really nice long shot that he hit as well to get him into that position. But 3-1, we find ourselves to TSM heading into round 5. NIP continue on the defense, and it's going to be Sunrise and Blue Bar for the first time today.
Well, second time swing, they do get the round win down in kitchen. Now we step into a site we have not seen yet. It is indeed the double bar. Now, they picked off a really critical operator for this site. The smoke they had, which is what Julio was originally playing on, has now been replaced by a pulse. That's all well and good if you're prepared to play vertically and deny the entry inside a hookah and billiards above these sites itself. With only one C4 on side, though, it feels like a bit of a miss. You know, most teams on this site will always bring smokes because you want to yeet those smokes up towards the sofas in the top left corner of Sunrise, which Easy is going to wonderfully show us, and deny entry inside a pool. They don't really have too many tools to do that in this round, Tim. So if TSM cotton onto that and see, oh, there's no smoke, I guarantee you, they're going for those sofas.
I've got a feeling, Des.
Yeah.
That NIP.
That tonight's going to be a good night.
That NIP are back.
Really?
We'll see.
Really?
We'll see. I'm not going in too deep on it. I've just got a little bit of a feeling.
The thing is, you always do this throughout the year. You'll go in just ever so lightly on little points, then a year later it'll come true and you'll be like, I said that. I'll go back and clip it from 12 months ago and show you.
I'm right. Can't help it then.
Worst kind of person.
I've got a feeling about NIP here, and I just feel
You're like people who predict the end of the world like 100 times over in the next 50 years, and one day it'll happen, you'll be like, see, I told you so.
No.
You're one of those people.
I've got a feeling that NIP are going to pick themselves a couple of rounds here. They're going to dust themselves down, and they're going to make a competition of this throughout Coastline, and maybe even take us into a third. We'll see. We've got TSM.
Now, you admire the belief, but look, even TSM have clocked there is no smoke. We're going to go straight in.
We've got TSM. Come on, NIP, please don't let me down. I've got TSM.
Tell you what, if they win this round, I'll buy you a drink, otherwise you buy me one.
There we go. Sweet. TSM are stacking up on the poolside entrance. They're looking to push in towards office as well. There's the entry kill. Pino gets Gio. It's traded out immediately by Charlotte. 4 versus 4.
There's too many stakes in this round now, Tim.
I'm too biased.
TSM, they are slowly whittling their way through their drone count as well, right? Only 4 left alive at this point. Merc on one of them. Charlotte with one in back pocket. I imagine a couple then, or one at least is dead for Gio. Probably has it out in the field still, so can feed a bit of information back and forth on the flank, but it feels like they've been pinned down a bit here. Are they aware about Julio inside of office? He's also got a little bit more cover. He's being penned in here from 2 sides. If he's fortunate, he finds a couple, and in they come. Bolo finds one back as well. It's going to be a swing straight in. That LMG goes straight through in towards the corridor. Can't find the man, and he'll back out straight through security, almost taking a second shot, but keeping himself going.
Bolo taking a little bit of damage, and Psycho just comes running full speed into office.
Yes!
It's not over yet, Des. We're in a 1v3. Muzi quite capable of these. He's half health. He's going to keep battling away just to keep them at bay, and then he's going to move himself back into main.
Yeah!
down by Achieve. TSM, not in the way you thought necessarily, Des, but they managed to get themselves in aggressively to the map, took control, win fights. TSM look great.
You know what beer tastes really good, Tim?
Free beer, Des.
Free beer, Tim. Free beer. That was a brilliant round, though. For TSM, again, they started out towards pool entrance. We were speaking about that being where they'd want to start things off. Then clock, okay, they've got a pretty heavy south presence here. If we go for this, they've got the long angles through sites. We don't want to chance it. So they rotate everyone down towards office side and go for kills. That's quite risky to step away from a plant-based strategy to a frag-based strategy, but it comes out on top for them big time once they have 2 or 3 converge on office at once. It was a good round for TSM. If NIP had hit a couple of shots down in office, it could have been over. But ultimately, TSM with 3 on side. It's 4-1 to TSM. And this is looking like a bit of a repeat of what we saw back on Kafe, Tim. Only the roles are reversed because TSM, of course, are on attack.
Like I said, TSM look good. You know, do they look absolutely amazing? Probably not. I think NIP are making them look good. I think there's a bit of both. I think TSM are playing very, very well. Please don't come at me, TSM fans. I am complimenting your team, I promise. I think TSM would be having a good performance against any of the top sides in this tournament right now. But Psycho just came sprinting into office when somebody had already died and Muzi was fighting with somebody. The call was there that there was people inside of office.
Just didn't know where.
And he just came sprinting in, and guess what? He died. If NIP are going to keep giving up lives like that, TSM are going to look good. They are going to have a good performance because
they had the momentary 2v1 as well, because one was off towards the left, one was off towards the corridor to the right, and they still.
I'm sorry, NIP fans. I really did try. I really did.
I think in the break we were doing our best Eddie Hearn impression of after you predicted NIP for the first 2 days, didn't predict them the third day. That was when they came online.
I just can't get it right with them.
And you're like, oh, I'm not having this. I'm not having this.
I'm not. No. I wasn't having it today, and I have actually predicted TSM because I had a feeling that NIP might just take a little bit of a dip. The thing is, they do this through tournaments, and I'm expecting them to get into the lower bracket if that's how this goes. There's still a lot to be played yet. But if they do find themselves down there, I expect a turnaround. You know, they are going to be in the, you know, maybe the last 8, last 12, I would expect them to be in and around that at least, but Reed just giving it away at the minute. Psycho just going for the punch out on the barricade. I know they're trying to get something going, but it's not working, and TSM just have the answer at every turn, every question. There you go, Bolo gets one, the kills are raining in. TSM, they know that this is in touching distance, Des. It's in a matter of seconds, it's 1v4, and what are NIP doing? They're all just watching Kamikaze, none of them on cams. I know there may not be any left, Des, but I don't.
They're being dragged around like a dog's chew toy, Tim. It's looking super messy. Kamikaze, will find a nice shot onto Charla, but he's got so much to do. He is in control of the sights, at least for now, but achieved. Crouch walking his way up past 90, gets himself a freebie, and it's another closeout for TSM, who move up to 5-1, Tim. It's a perfect mirror of what we saw before. Remind me of what happened on Kafe, because we went 5-1. We didn't go straight to 6-1, did we? It went to 5-2. Then it went through to being 7-2 in the end, if I remember rightly.
No, it finished.
Well, 7-1, wasn't it? I'm a liar. Yeah, it was a straight 7-1.
Finished 7-1, Des.
Woo! And that was only like, what? That was 3 minutes ago, given how fast this game's going.
NIP have won 2 rounds.
Yikes.
They've won 2 rounds against a very good TSM side. But
sucks to suck, I guess.
If you want to be getting through and winning the 6 Invitational, you got to, no matter who you play against, whether it be TSM in this sort of form, whether it be Team Liquid, whether it be Damwon Kia, you know, whoever it be of those top teams, you have to beat the best to be the best. It's as simple as that. And right now, NIP are falling short.
The thing is, I brought round to your way of thinking, and you know, we often say, oh, NIP take a bit of a time to warm into a tournament. You know, give them till playoffs and they'll improve. The fear is here, they're not at the level. Like, this is arguably the weakest they've looked across the entire tournament. Again, only 2 rounds against TSM. Like, man.
That's it. I'm not.
That's a stinger.
I wouldn't be overly worried for NIP just yet.
I would. They're going to the lower bracket, Tim.
I know, and but I've watched a lot of them over the last couple of years, and I think they will have a good lower bracket run.
All right.
I do. I have faith in them. I really do. I think that we will see a turnaround. I think this is a bit of a blip. It's a bad performance. TSM are taking full advantage of that and are just not giving them any breathing space whatsoever. TSM are one of them teams. We've already said it, Des. What have we said about TSM? They're coming in with so many 3Ks, 4Ks, because they're the sorts of players that once they sniff an opportunity, they'll go for it. They just go after it and they will hit kill after kill after kill. And that's exactly what they're doing here. Every time they sense that there's an opportunity, they're getting it. They're just straight on top of it and they're just not giving NIP space to sort of breathe. If this was a team that maybe played it a little bit more conservatively, NIP might have the space to get themselves back into it, but TSM aren't doing that. For every backward step that NIP take, TSM take 2 forward, and they're just closing that gap and putting them against the wall continually.
I thought Merc might find himself a little bit boxed inside a bathroom there, but at the time, Pino heads to the roof to get the hatch opened up. He dips away. Gio's going to find Psycho to start the round out. The woes continue for TSM. Gio also, worth mentioning, bringing along that FMG. We spoke about it earlier on for Bolo. Similar story for Gio, although he is, of course, one of the supportive players for TSM.
Another good start for TSM. Looking great, managing to just hit every single shot. It just seems to be turning into one of them games where there is not much that TSM can do wrong here. Pino has got himself established in the bathroom. Again, that timing, it's all those sorts of things that add up. You just see him turn away at the very second Merc is going to challenge, and it just makes his life harder work. Pino, Muze, they need to deal with Merc here in the back of theatre. Merc, he's just dipping, diving, dodging, ducking, doing everything he can to keep himself out of that line of sight, but continue challenging. Achieve, manages to find Julio. Merc, if he gets away with one here, it would have been the greatest robbery, but Muze, he manages to find that kill. That gives NIP something to build on.
It does, but it's taken 90 seconds to clear out a single roamer that's taken down 2 members of your team. Oh, that would have been bad.
I mean, it wasn't ideal. It's used 2 nades where only 1 was needed, but I think that is the least of the issues at the minute for NIP. We're going to have Kamikaze just looking to move in behind that Ossa shield and get himself inside a service if he can. He's just very aware of that main door run out, though.
What I'll give, if he gets the shield down inside of a plant position, the only thing that can stop him is Gio's 3 smoke canisters. There's no impacts, there's no C4s, there's nothing of the like to really stop him from sitting behind it and getting away with it. The problem is you're in a 3 versus 4. You haven't got that map control that you need. 2 members still, in fact, every single member still outside the building at this point. They have got top floor control, but that's pretty much all they've got. He's in and still needs to move a little bit further forward here to get a plant down. He'll take a few cheeky shots, and as said, it's going to be hard to make him move, but he doesn't really pose a threat in that position, Tim.
Well, that's it. They don't need to make him move. For anybody who, is maybe back to us or new back with, with the rework that we saw. The site is now inside of service. You can't plant in that area. Essential kill from Bolo there to close him down. This is likely done. He's going to down Kamikaze. It's all up to Pino.
My!
There's the kills. TSM managed to hold on. There's just nothing. Despite NIP's tries, the ideas, no matter what they bring to the board, it's just not doing the job for them. This time they tried the Ossa, try and get her in there, get the shield down, but still nothing doing.
Bolo just marched on a 3K. When I really thought Muzi had finally got them something, when it was down to a 3 versus 2, I thought, cool. They've got not a lot of time. They've still got the O's for life. They can march on forward with the shield. They can drop it down. They can make the plant happen. But what happens? Bolo just turns on. Kills him. Turns around and gets Kamikaze down and finishes off the last man sprinting into bathroom. Beautiful stuff once again. NIP likely only going to get 2 rounds away from TSM. It's looking like back-to-back 7-1s unless something drastically changes here in round number 8.
It's going to be Sunrise and Blue. I really feel for the NIP players. I do. It's one of those where, like I say, I don't think it's even necessarily down to them. It's like nothing. We've all had those games where just nothing goes right.
It's like going to an abandoned amusement park, Tim. There's just not a lot
to go on, Des. There's not a lot to go on. And just nothing is going right for them. And I really do feel for them. But on the other side, we've got a team where everything is going right. TSM, they are taking full advantage. You can only play what's in front of you. I've said that time and time again, and you've got to get those rounds on the board, and TSM are doing exactly that. So, they deserve the plaudits that are going to come their way for this victory. And for me, I like it because it blows the tournament wide open. I've been saying this about NA. Let's have you back. Let's have that region's resurgence. We've all had the jokes. Now it's time, I think, to definitely put them to bed. TSM proving that.
And they should be able to. The then question is, can NIP recover in time before tomorrow we step into, of course, the lower brackets? Today we're having our two...
If this happens tomorrow, that's it.
Oh, they're done. That's it. Scary, isn't it, for the defending world champions to be out so soon? But for those who aren't fully aware, today is round 1 of the upper bracket. And we have then later on round 2 of the upper bracket. Tomorrow we go into the lower bracket round 1 and the lower bracket round 2. Wednesday then we see the 2 streams come together and things not so much slow down a bit. I imagine they'll heat up, Tim, but it does all come together, and that's where the tournament really starts to hit the late stage strides.
Surprised that TSM have allowed NIP into Penthouse so quickly there with the mirror that they played down in service. It's very easily taken out if you're going to have vertical control, and it doesn't seem like they were holding it. They've got rid of the mirror. It was a great kill from Bolo, don't get me wrong, but it surprised me that they allowed them to remove that utility quite so easily. We've got a direct trade comes in. Psycho's going to get Geo, and that now leaves us in a 3 versus 3 just before the halfway mark, and this one's turning into a little bit of a bloodbath in round number 8.
I think Achieve needs to give him a go on his Minesweeper game, Tim. It's a C4 being walked straight over there a couple of times. No drones coming in from below. All too easy to open things up. Yes, they swing a couple back. They remove Bolo, who's having an absolute game. The problem is, look at the kills for Achieve, Merc, and Charla. Also, all still heavily involved in this game. The support players in this game sticking towards playing on the FMG instead of looking towards the secondaries or potentially the Oryx to do a lot of the site work for them, opening up rotates, things like that. So equally deadly here, not just relying on an SMG, for example. And NIP have got themselves set up around pool entrance. That's going to be their point of ingress in these last 60 seconds.
Out goes this Toxic Babe canister onto pool entrance just to try and slow that entry down. 2 more left, so that's another 20 to 30 seconds that can be burnt there. Pino takes a little toe too far and finds himself sucking in a lung full of damage. He's going to have to just back away, goes up towards Hooker, and look at that, Achieve gets away with one, just running across the door. Actually finds himself downed as a second shot comes in. An opportunity here for Psycho. I don't think he knows exactly where he is. He could shoot him through the soft wall there, but it's going to be Pino onto Charla, and NIP, they look like they might just get something going here, Des. Merc gets in, picks Achieved up. There's the double. Psycho, Pino, NIP, you got yourselves around, you got yourself a foundation. You've got to let this steady the ship and find a few more. It's 6-2, and the fight back has...
No. One round at
a time.
No. It's not going to happen, Tim. There's no way. Double or nothing.
I don't know why you've done that to TSM.
What?
You can't come in and say there's no way.
That's absolutely what I said. I'll double or nothing you for that drink, and the NIP do not come back.
I don't think they're going to.
No, I don't think they will either, mate. 4 rounds in a row is a very tall task, and even then you've got to get through overtime and then potentially through Villa. Ooh. You're leaving that one down to the fate of God, aren't you?
I think the reality is they're probably mentally drained right now. I think they've probably been absolutely battered. And I think it's probably very, very difficult.
We got a talent booth given to us yesterday in the computer area, so we can sit and play a bit of Siege in our downtime, for example. And we had Fresh and Friends.
Guys, what do you do when you've just finished casting 5 days of group stage?
Have a day off, lads.
14 hours a day. You have yourselves a day off. What are you going to do today? Could we play Siege all day?
That was exactly what happened. We loved it. Yeah, and we had Fresh and Friends Academy. We had like a coach, an analyst. We had everything going on.
All 5 of us in there. The main team as well.
Absolutely. You're on the main team, mate. You're just way ahead of us at this point. We're trying to play catch-up. It's not a big deal. What we were advised, though, is I don't want you being high on the emotions. I don't want you being low on the emotions. You've got to stay in the middle. Stay balanced the whole way through. And even for NIP, yes, they're getting absolutely slammed, but to still be in a spot where there's fist bumps, the coach is picking them up as well. They are trying to keep that mental high at this point. I understand that. I think it's a great thing to do when you know it's very likely that you lose this game. You're still going into each round fresh and ready to go.
The one thing that I will say, if I know anything about NIP, is that there will be belief in their minds that they can do this. Whether we believe it, whether everybody at home believes it or not, those 5 players, with their ability, will believe that they can win the next 4 rounds, bring it to overtime, take it to map 3 and win it. And honestly, there's always a chance with NIP.
Yeah.
It's slim. It is slim. And TSM, they are looking great. But there is always a chance whilst these players are still inside of the server. Droning goes on. They're going to be attacking onto Hooker and Billiards this time around. Man inside a lobby, man inside a bathroom. 2 important positions. Merc and Achieved. They need to be paying attention to that because they could get hit on the flank. They do have Julio on the Nomad, so they can air jab off the stairs. Not too much of a concern. But there are nitros in hand as well. So just need to be be careful. No, Achieved gets taken down, and that's going to be the Nitro gone. As I said, Des, they needed to deal with it.
Yes, it's a good start for Julio. A second one comes in as well. Please don't do this to me. Don't let Tim be right. He'll never let me live it down. 2 big kills though. 5 versus 3 and tons of time to play with Tim. 90 seconds still on the clock. They've got a lot of utility still in back pocket that no doubt is going to start coming raining through. They are looking very low on information is my only concern. You must be kidding me. That is unfortunate. Being a little bit of an assist there from Gio onto Merc. Bolo also goes down. It's a 1 versus 5 and a flawless round coming out for NIP.
And you see that energy there that Mighty's just trying to push back into the team. Come on, let's go. We can do this. And they will be hyper-focused at this point in time. To be honest, I was going to say, and it's interesting that this timeout's come in now, because I was actually going to suggest it might not be a terrible timeout for an NIP timeout. Because they've got a couple of rounds, there's a lot been going on. Just let's take a breather. What's gone right in the last couple of rounds? Let's have a chat. Let's solidify that and let's not get ahead of ourselves. So I don't think this necessarily is too bad. I know we talk about momentum, but let's be honest, 2 rounds isn't really momentum at this point. I think it might be a good opportunity for them to just solidify.
See, this happened the other day, and I did say on cast that I'd do it, and I'm a man of a word, Tim. I went away and did it. SSG were at 4-4. They won around and went to 5-4 on the attack. Lycan called a timeout, and I was like, I need to go and find out why they've done that. So I'm curious, because a few teams have done, winning round timeouts. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I went and DM'd him, and I hope he won't mind me reading this out. I'm sure he won't. He's a pretty good guy. He said, our comms were getting a bit crazy, so I wanted to calm it down, and I wanted to tell them about something I saw on their cache site at the gym, so we swapped the take the second time. Bit of a tongue twister. So it's more like he kind of chose a moment when the guys were feeling good to, again, settle the energy down. Remember, I want you in the middle. I don't want you high. I don't want you low. Get back to the middle. Honestly, and here's something to change around for the next time we attack or defend on this site.
We always assume that tactical timeouts will come at a point where a team's getting battered a bit. And
yeah, it's not always the case.
But genuinely, I was just thinking in my mind there, 2 rounds on the board, starting to hit shots. This might not be a bad time to just take a minute and be like, right, we've got this. We build from here. Yep. This is what is going right. Do more of that. Let's push forward. So we'll see if that's the case for NIP. Still facing map point, still a lot of work to do, attacking onto Kitchen.
Couple of changes in this round as well. It's almost like TSM are expecting an Osa pick to come back out once again because they've now got impacts in back pocket. They were missing that last time around. There is no smoke on side, but there's also no shield. Instead, opting for 4 Weewoos. I imagine some of those out towards service entrance, 1 in towards kitchen. I tell you, that Weewoo thing is really going to stick. I know it's a prox alarm.
This means proximity alarm for anybody watching who's thinking, what is he on about?
I said it the other day. Fresh says a lot of things that just stick in my mind. Like he calls Moz. Whenever I pick Mozzie, he's always like, oh, play a bit of Moz, are you, Des? And I'm like, yes, Fresh, I'm playing the Moz. And the Weewoos, he just always calls it that. So I'm like, it's now sticking. I can't get it out of my head.
Got Merc on the
Save me, please.
Merc on the peak there. He's not going to get his prize. And NIP are aware of it. They're going to shoot out the double window. Pino gets himself safely up to the top floor. That should be sufficient to force Merc back into theatre, I would expect. The drones will go out. He will make sure that he's dropped away, and then Pino will look to push in. Muzi has supported him on that push. Bolo looking to get aggressive. I don't know, Des. It just looks like a few rounds ago, you feel like Bolo maybe gets a kill there. Somebody comes across him. Maybe the tides of luck are just turning a little bit, and they've run out for TSM, maybe.
All right, Tim. Okay. Wee-woo, wee-woo.
I just like to get excited about whoever's behind.
I get excited about Weewoos, apparently. Small things. Let's see, though, because it's all about this push into Penthouse itself. You think you have Merc playing on the south side, Muzi up on one side now. They're trying to test a man at range, but will he win this gunfight? They see the head, but can't quite find the man himself. Stepping his way back up towards the door here. May even get himself being pushed in towards VAR, so he's got to be careful, because that clock is running down, Tim. 75 seconds in, they haven't found anyone just yet. TSM doing a good job of wasting time.
Just trying to use the prone there. Muzi looking to crawl across, doesn't find his man. The battle continues with Merc. It's holding them at bay. They did manage to clear him out without loss last time around. They could do with doing that sooner rather than later. Merc takes a death-defying run across the door, and Pino finds his man. That's a big entry, and there's a second. Here comes Muzi. 5 versus 3, NIP.
Imagine a turnaround at this point in the series. I look back to when they played against SSG in the grand finals a couple of years ago, and they said there was a specific round on Clubhouse where it all fell apart for them. You could see where the mental broke, and SSG got the reverse sweep in. One coming back from Bolo at Lisa. He is still here. He is still playing, Tim. You're asking when Bolo plays. The answer apparently was just then.
He turns up, and it's going to be 3 versus 4. NIP need to keep things moving here. Don't go back to that slow final 5-second execute. You've got TSM on the back foot a little bit inside of this round. You've got your advantage. Use it. Push forward. Pino just very indecisive about this nade. He's going to send it down to clear out some utility, I think, but just wasn't sure. Bolo goes for the slow peek, and Julio's ready. Pino onto the head of Gio, and NIP have woken up. They are now 4 versus 1. It's all up to Charla inside of sight. 20 seconds. Time is on his side. He gets one, but the trade is there immediately, and things are getting a little bit louder now. NIP, 4 rounds, 2 to go. They are fighting for overtime.
6-4. Sorry, 6-5 even. Yeah, they battled their way all the way back into this one. I can't believe it's come to this point. Sorry, 6-4. What am I on about again?
See,
I was really confused.
You're getting excited now. Yes.
I don't want to grass you in, Tim, but you said 4 rounds. I was like, 4 rounds? What?
Yeah, they've got 4 rounds.
Yeah, they have. I thought you were saying 4 rounds in 4 rounds in a row, and I was like,
Oh, come on, Des.
Let me go, and I was like a seal there, like, I wasn't sure. Either way, Blue Bar,
I think
Sunrise.
you're getting confused because of your excitement, because you know what's happening.
Yes, mate, I'm absolutely ecstatic. Really, it's kind of saying something about TSM. They can't close this game out here, given the advantage they had, knowing 1 round was all that's required. After what happened on Kafe, we thought we'd step into this and see an absolute wipeout. But as you say, that energy is building for NIP. No doubt, now that TSM have had their timeout, the boys are alone in this. They've got to figure out between them what they can do to get the win. Apparently for Bolo, that's going across onto playing the mirror. We saw this before, it was dealt with pretty quickly. The C4 did strike inside a kitchen. And this time round, NIP are going to be aware of that. They're not going to be caught out in the same spot again.
I hope TSM fans will forgive me for this. But I think everybody wants to see this happen. It's like, you know, we don't want to see anybody sort of limping out of the competition, 7-1, 7-1. You know, NIP come back from the Siege fans in all of us. Forget your team allegiance. The Siege fans in all of us can see that NIP coming from 6-1 down to take it to overtime, to win Coastline, to go to map 3 is just going to be a grandstand game to start the B stream today.
Am I the only person that doesn't want it? Because I know you're going to be insufferable.
And I am hoping for it now. Let's have it. Let's see it. I just want to go full force. NIP, they come into the attack 20 seconds in, and they're going to look to get in towards the top floor. We've seen this entry from Pino time and time again, usually supported by Muzi, and they'll try to apply that vertical pressure.
He struggled quite a lot on Kafe on the sledge. A couple of rounds picked off very early on and able to do his thing. Here has been much more effective. Currently sat at 11 and 6. And Muzi, as we've seen from there, take time and time again, stepping his way inside a Hall of Fame and looking to move across. No one inside a bedroom, sadly, Bolo. No one's got looking for a nap right now. They are fully awake. So shan't be able to find himself a C4 coming in just yet, but you know he's trying to bait for it. You know he's waiting. And no drones from NIP currently around the area, so they've got to be very careful.
Bolo just pre-placing that C4, I believe. He's just waiting for that hammer to start swinging, and he'll try and get himself much the same as he did last time, but hopefully that's something that NIP are going to be aware of. They've suffered to it once. Don't be fooled again by it. Gio able to maintain his position inside of that door for the time being, but Kamikaze is heading there with the Hibana, so we're likely to see that wall opened up. For the time being, it's going to be the hatch so that they can work from above, take out the proximity alarm, and then back downstairs to open the wall and force Gio out of position.
6x Scarus being used when forward have done more for speed, I imagine, there than pace. I mean, you don't really need to do much with the Hibana, so hey, why not? Sticks will do just fine. Still a good chunk of utility in back pockets for the side of NIP. 6 flashes on side they can burn through here, Tim. Yes, they've got the 1 on the side of TSM, and unlike Psycho, Gio has got all of those magnets out on the map as they come up, which should be able to deny away a frag getting its way through and potentially connecting onto the shield or a man from NIP. Last 60 seconds here, they're looking for the pull execute. This is going to be a crazy one in the dying seconds, Tim.
They're just going to bait out those impact nades. He's got 1 more Gio, but he took a lot of damage applying that. So this time, I think we're likely to see those pellets detonate. There you go. He can now play through that hole potentially if he wants to stay here, but his days are probably numbered if that's the case. He'll wait for maybe the next 6. There you go. As the utility absolutely flies is in. Gio's going to dip himself away just around that half wall and try and keep himself alive for the rest of the round. 29 seconds left to go. NIP, this is your moment. This is the time.
Got the smokes on side as well, coming raining through on towards that default plant spot. They're ready and waiting. They need to remove the smoke player. If Charla goes down, and as I say, it happens. Support on support action. 2 more as Kamikaze finds another. Pino raining his way through. Achieved has got the long arm, but no one can stop this plant going down. The smoke's off board. It's 5 versus 2. Make it a 5 versus 1. NIP about to go flawless in the round. They do lose one at the end, but it's 4 kills, and they bring us up to 1 round away from pulling this through to overtime, Tim.
Where have this NIP side been all morning, Des? Coming in and looking electric. Those are the executes that they're capable of, and they are now showing us 1 more round. NIP, just 1 more round, and you will take us into overtime. TSM, they must be reeling right now, Des. 6-1 up, looking to cruise through that upper bracket first game, and all of a sudden, it's backs to the wall. They're staring down the possibility of a map 3.
I wish you could see Tim, everyone. He's bouncing around, he's slamming the desk. He's so excited with every kill that comes in from NIP.
The thing is, it could be anybody. It could be the reverse. This is what I'm like. People often ask me about my excitement in the game. Basically, I will internally root for whoever is behind.
You root for the underdog. It's a British thing. We have it at birth.
But not even just like, if at the beginning of the match the underdog starts tearing away with it, I'll flip allegiances and like internally, I want whoever is behind to win rounds.
Telling me you ain't loyal on Valentine's Day, Tim?
Can you imagine? I want whoever's behind to win rounds because it gives us the best Siege game. That's the top and bottom of it. So it doesn't matter whether it's NIP, it doesn't matter whether it's BDS, whether it's TSM, you know, it doesn't matter who it is in the game. I just want whoever is behind to come back and make a fight of it. I don't want to see anybody losing 7-1. Right now, NIP are giving us one hell of a story here. They have woken up 6-5. 1 more attack, NIP. 1 more, and you take us to overtime. And what an experience that is going to be.
You're like a child in a sweet shop, digging his hand right to the bottom of the sweet jar, Tim, and hopefully you get the golden prize.
On the verge of something special, I'm telling you.
We could be. We could be. I bet you wish you'd taken that double or nothing now, huh? Hooker and Villiers then. Let's get underway with this one. I imagine from NIP, once again, you're going to see the same story. We've seen it now 4 or 5 times over. Pino drops into bathroom on the sledge. Muzi gets control of Hall of Fame. They work their way across from there. It's tried and tested and clearly shown to be pretty effective.
I'm not sure if they were aware there that they were just spotted out on the drone. I think it was Achieved who they picked up down in kitchen. They did. Muzi knows. There's the ping. He just misses the shots. Achieved gets away with one there. Doesn't spot the drone. The yellow ping almost enough for Muzi to do the job. I mean, spread through the floor, it's always difficult. He's got the soft breach. He could have maybe opened it up, but I think Achieve would have moved before he could have reacted to it. But nevertheless, it was an opportunity for NIP, and it just keeps TSM on their toes.
Almost got rid of the bulletproof as well, but at the last second, I think the man behind bar stepped out and got it blasted out. Unfortunate. That's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Pino getting himself up on this north side window. They've got one trying to push into Aqua. I think Merc sat just below those, the problem inside of Office here, lurking around, daring someone to come stepping in through that door. You can't really do much about the player that's above. I think it's the Nomad. So yeah, okay, no, Julio's off towards the other side. Never mind. He was originally on the rappel, but has gone roof, dropped down through the bathroom hatch and is now working his way down. So it's starting to all come together for NIP, but Tim, I'll always refer back to the clock. Even last round, the first kill came around the 30-second mark, so it was quite a late one.
I feel nervous for NIP about the clock. You know, they need to start finding some kills. That's not ideal. Bolo just able to dig in for TSM. Can they do it here? Can TSM get it over the line in 2 despite the battering they've had over the last few rounds? Bolo starts it going. First kill onto Pino. That is a big moment for TSM. Psycho is just begging somebody to peek there from out of Hooker. He's just waiting. I don't think he's going to get the opportunity here, TSM. They're not keen to step up and take these challenges. They do have one underneath that could potentially look to deny a plant. NIP have thrown somebody else up onto the Hooker window, and Bolo, he's just waiting for his moment, Des.
He is just waiting for that one little pixel to change colour, and then the trigger gets pulled, but right now it's more behind the bomb itself. 20 steps out! What a mistake he's made there to try and get the drone. One comes back on the other side. Psycho's gone down, though, is the problem. Kamikaze stepping in. Can they see each other? Apparently not. The smoke too thick. Charlotte gets the shutdown. It's 4 versus 2. It's all falling apart in the last second. Muzi gets one back, but he's going to go absolutely huge. Geo with the shutdown. TSM stop NIP in round 12.
Oh, NIP, what a story you almost gave us. You got to take the hats off to those guys. They made a gargantuan effort there through Coastline. It cannot be easy to have gone through so many rounds like they did, only winning 2, and to be able to fight your way back almost to overtime. They deserve their credit in this game, but the day is truly taken by TSM. They deserve every ounce of credit as well. What a performance from the North American team. They were a little bit rattled there on Coastline, but still able to get it over the line. They have been seriously impressive. I picked them out at the beginning of the tournament with a potential for a top 4 finish, and I believe that is still the case, maybe even further. TSM look very good.
They look very sharp. It's going to be those composure in the tough moments, though, that can really rattle a team. And for NIP, the sad thing is people will look at this tomorrow and go, oh, they got 2-0. That was clean. It was easy, whatever. That fight back in the second map is far from easy. To bring yourself up from match and series point, having only won 2 rounds, and to bring it back there is ridiculous. Really good show. I'm looking forward to their performance in the lower bracket. Later on today, we will see TSM coming up against Furia. They're taking down one LATAM team. Another one steps in their place. The million-man march begins. It's going to be hard to get past LATAM. Let's go to a break, and when we come back, our desk will break this one down for you.